Hello and welcome to day 4, lesson 4 of line graphs. Today we are going to be looking at conversion graphs, so you're just going to need your textbook. So go ahead and open up your textbook to page 53. This is a different type of graph, line graph, than the ones that we've been looking at over the past several days. Again, it's called a conversion graph. It can also be called a rate graph, and it basically shows you, this particular graph that you see shows you the exchange rate between the US dollar and the Singapore dollar. So if you've ever left the country before, even if you haven't, you probably would guess that before you leave, it's a good idea to go to the bank and exchange your US money for the currency or the money used in the country that you're going to be visiting. And how do you know how much money, say we're going to Singapore, and we have some US dollars, how do we know how many Singapore dollars we get for our US dollars? Well, there's what's called an exchange rate. And this graph here on page 53 shows you the conversion rate of US dollars to Singapore dollars. So this tells the banker, you know, exactly how much money in Singapore dollars you would get for your US dollars. So let's take a look at how to read this graph and how we could use it. So page 53 says, this line graph shows the exchange rate between US dollars and Singapore dollars some years ago. Okay, so if you look at the bottom of the graph shows US dollars. And of course the corner is at 0, and notice that every couple of lines they increase by $1 US all the way up to $10. So going up the vertical side would be the Singapore dollars, starting at 0 but increasing by 2 every couple of lines, all the way up to 22. So you can take a look. Let's start at $1 US. What's the exchange rate in Singapore dollars for $1 US? Well, I go over here to $1 US, and I see that for every $1 US, I get 2 Singapore dollars. So that would be the exchange rate. So if that's the rate, then for every 2 US dollars, I'm just going to double. I get double, basically. That would give me 4 Singapore dollars. And, you know, moving on to 3, you'll see that for 3 US dollars, I'll just darken those, I get 6 Singapore dollars. And for 4, I get 8, and so on. And you can see that the graph, the line extends and increases continuously. So it's a continuous graph. And also, I could find, you know, information such as, what about $2.50? How much US $2.50, what's that going to give me in Singapore dollars? Well, here's $2, here's $3, right? So $2.50 must be, you know, right between there. What's that going to give me in Singapore dollars? Well, that would give me, in between 4 and 6, that would give me 5 Singapore dollars. So this is how you read and interpret a conversion graph. So let's look at the questions asked here. So I don't have them projected, but they're at the bottom of page 53. Let's look at A. How many Singapore dollars can be exchanged for US $9? Okay, let's take a look. We want to know, we have 9 US dollars. We want to know how many Singapore dollars can we get for that. Well, going over to 9 here on your bottom line of your chart here, and then let's go all the way up and find out, there's a dot right there, and read that 9 US dollars is going to get me 18 Singapore dollars. So that's the answer for A. What does B say? B says, how many US dollars can be exchanged for Singapore $10? Okay, so let's go over here to the Singapore $10, and we want to know if I have $10 in Singapore dollars, how many US dollars am I going to get? Well, just go all the way over here, and you'll see that you'll get 5 US dollars. So 10 Singapore dollars gives you 5 US dollars. And then question C says, how many US dollars can be exchanged for Singapore's $16? Well, if you go up to 16 Singapore dollars, you'll find if you go all the way across here that that's going to give you 8 US dollars. So it's pretty straightforward. That's how you read a conversion graph, often used to show exchange rates. So it's that simple. You will practice this skill of reading a conversion chart, conversion graph in your workbook. I'd like for you to complete just page 65. You are going to be given a conversion graph showing Hong Kong dollars to Singapore dollars. So say somebody was a Hong Kong resident, they wanted to go to Singapore, they had to exchange their Hong Kong dollars for their Singapore dollars or vice versa. What would that exchange rate be? What would the conversion rate be? So please complete page 65 in your workbook and have a great day.